Okay, so let's talk about the process of the week while we still have time. One of the #1 reasons that businesses don't systematize or don't build processes and don't finish that work is because, not going to be a surprise to everyone, you're too busy, right? Everyone's too busy. We all have full-time jobs already. You all work 40, 50 hours a week, and now you have to document your processes. When people leave TouchStone, it's not because they don't like TouchStone. It's because they just don't have time to use it. That's everyone's reason. I didn't have time. I didn't have time. So I decided to do this task delegation and work management process just to kind of address this issue and talk about it ahead of time so that you can start to do things to carve out a little bit more time. If you spend a half an hour a day, an hour a day working on TouchStone, working on processes, if 10 people did that in your company, 15 minutes a day even, over the long haul, you're going to get a lot done. But it's this overwhelm kind of, I've got too much to do mindset. The phone's ringing, the sales have to be made, technical thinking, you might say, that stops people from building their businesses or stops managers from building successful departments. We have a lot of managers on the line here. Some people I recognize and some I don't. But not all of you are the owners of the business. A lot of you are the managers of the company. Documented processes are a manager's best friend. They are a way for you to really be an inspirational leader, not just to, if you're the owner of the company, but within your department, to become efficient and effective and to grow your department. But you have to have the time to do it. So this process is called task delegation and work management. This is in the library, and you can pull this down and look at it. I'm going to go to this form that's here. So the inability to delegate is one of the biggest problems that I see with managers. And I've been doing this work a long time. I was a consultant, strategic consultant way before this. This is the #1 problem. It's the manager's inability to be able to give off that work effectively. And we all get into our own little habits about this where we want to control it all, or we've been burned so many times that we've delegated work and then they haven't been able to do it, and so then you get in trouble for that because the buck stops here. So there's all these different reasons. The confidence to be able to delegate comes from having a documented process. So do more by doing less. Pass the baton. Give that work to train another employee how to use it. So surround yourself with the best people you can find, have a good recruiting and hiring process, then delegate that authority. And you can use this delegation process that we've defined in the library to help you with that. Don't interfere as long as the process, the documented process, is working, that it's being followed. So there's a difference between advocating accountability and just saying, oh, God, you go do that, with no explanation and then expecting people to succeed. There's a big difference between that and creating the guidelines for how that work is done, how that documented process should go, and then delegating that. Delegate the process. But this is where the bottleneck comes in because nobody's got time to create the documentation. So you end up in this spiraling circle of not being able to delegate out your work because there's no documented way of doing it, and all of your employees are just kind of limping along trying to figure it out themselves and being unsuccessful in a lot of cases because there is no documentation, there was no training. So here's kind of some benefits for, why to get people thinking about the overall benefits for all of this. How it benefits a manager is you save time, you achieve more, you increase your value. Getting work done through other people, that's successful management. The benefits to your team, to your employees, they develop as people, they're trained, they learn, they get high self-esteem around it, their job becomes more interesting to them. They can evolve in your company because you're giving them the material and the information to grow as an employee. The team itself benefits from being more efficient. being more flexible, really working as a team where everyone has their goals and their processes that they're to achieve, balancing the workloads. Generally, when I look at efficiency within a team, there's the people who can do the most, who are the yes people, who got better at it through trial and error. They're given most of the work. And then you've got other team members who you haven't been able to develop and train, so they have less work. One person's really overwhelmed with all the work, and one person's just kind of doing what they're doing. It aids in communication, even within departments. Because if I know as a salesperson that I've passed off this project that I've put my heart and soul into selling off to operations, I know that they're going to deliver that on time, every time, exactly as I've promised. And then in operations, I know that the finance department is going to bill that client and is going to call them when they didn't pay. So the whole company kind of balances on the effectiveness of the processes. And this communication and good team efforts and work really excels when you've got processes for people to communicate, and I know work's going to get done when it needs to get done. Retaining good team members. At some point, I'm going to do the process of the week, the employee onboarding process, and there are some alarming statistics in there about how much money and time is wasted by not keeping good employees. So when you have good delegation, an evenness of work, good communication, good training, people want to stay. And that's what makes your company scalable and successful in the long haul. So here's a couple key things I'll just highlight about this process. You can download this and read it over thoroughly and use it. This is just workplan just kind of explains delegation, why it's important, what to think about while you're doing it. Having a documented process is the best way to delegate. But this gives you kind of some guidelines on things to think about when delegating and how to delegate. There's another work plan here on missed accountability. So when you delegate something and the employee doesn't do it or doesn't do it right, or all the things that happen, the wrong approach is to then take it away from them, or to then yell at them or be upset and cause, issues, interpersonal issues, which are unnecessary. The best thing to do is to make them accountable to it. So if you've truly delegated something, like you've given them guidelines, there's a documented process for how to do it, even if it's not the best, there's something in place. You didn't just say, go do this. You said, here in TouchStone, here's how to do it. So do it. If they don't do it, then you need some kind of management control around that. And so that's what this missed accountability is. And there's actually a form that goes with it. So if I've delegated something and it doesn't happen, rather than feeling defeated and stop delegating, make the employee own it. And you can read through this missed accountability sheet to kind of get some ideas on how the employee can then be responsible for what they don't understand and the fact that they didn't do it the way that it was laid out. There's also a script in here, which is like some frequently asked questions or situations that come up in delegation. But here's my favorite down here. A lot of times when you're thinking, what can I delegate so that I have more time, especially if you're a manager or a business owner and you're involved in all the tactical work, this is a quick way for you to really figure it out. Sit and make a list of work that you can delegate right now. That's what this first category is. What is work that you could get off your plate right now if you just had the courage and the managerial mindset to delegate it? Then what's work you could only delegate if you had a system for it or a process, a documented process? What is that work? So what could you delegate if there was a documented process in TouchStone? And then third, what's work you'll never delegate? So this helps you look at it objectively, because if I said to you, you need to delegate more, well, your mind is going to go to, well, I can't delegate, it's impossible. So this is a way for you to break it apart. What can you delegate right now? What is easy, simple, and you've just been holding on to it for no reason? What can you delegate if you had a system for it, a written process? that you could write out and train, and then what could you never delegate? Clearly, this category is what it is, but this category, this becomes a priority for you, a priority list. What needs to get documented first, second, and third so you can start to have more time? So task delegation and work management, that is in the library. I have a few questions that I'm going to answer offline. Next week, we're going to talk about the organization chart. I'm going to talk about how to use it, specifically, technically how to build it. But most of the session is going to be about, how to build good organization strategy. So how to use this as a strategy tool.